Hi, I'm Satish. As you know, I'm a life and a wellness coach. So you must be wondering, what is the life and a wellness coach doing in a seminar like this? Well, when I was told that I could come and speak here in terms of what probably I could add value to each one of you, I was told leadership was one of the things. But I think leadership is something which most of you know, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have been here. What is more important is that what I'm trying to touch upon is primarily wellness. How many of you think wellness is more important to get to the top in your respective corporate ladder? Yeah, it's say almost 90%, right? It's a no-brainer. The reason is because now wellness is not just about physical well-being. It's a lot to do with the emotional part also. You agree with me? The emotional part is critical because it's how you represent the data and how you internalize the whole thing and how you take it forward with your respective teams. I was having a talk with a few of them, and one of the most thing which came up was how do you manage people and how do you manage situations at work. Now I think most of you would have got trained in your respective fields, but what I'm trying to touch upon here is, slide seems to be running a day. Okay, I'll basically start off with the health tips. What is most important is how healthy each one of you can be when you go up the corporate ladder. Now, do you feel in a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how much do you think would be your fitness level? 7? Okay. 8? What about the ladies? The ladies are few, but still you can voice out. What about you, madam? How much do you think? 3? Okay. So if your probably respective key areas were at that rate, how would you kind of do at work? Sorry? Correct. So the thing here is, the reason why I'm touching upon this is I work with a lot of CIOs, CTOs, and CEOs. The problem is when they get there, they would have missed out on all these things. And to stay at the top, they need to be at the peak of the physical and emotional condition. Now that's when they come to me, so that's when I get business. That's besides the point. But here it's easier for you because you're climbing up the ladder. If you're conscious about the fact that you could take care of certain things and probably get there and also enjoy the ride. Now getting there is another thing, but staying at the top is another thing, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just touch upon certain areas where you feel, see, it'll be more interactive. Please feel free to ask me questions. I got a 1 hour slot, mind you, so I need to quickly wind it up. But nevertheless, basically, I'm going to touch upon few key areas where I do a lot of seminars in the corporate world. I do a lot of talks. So I'm going to touch upon is the health aspect. Now, what do you think, health is something which is stopping each one of you from getting to the top? Can any of you answer? I mean, okay. What about stress management? It's all part of the job, right? If probably some of you are the CIO in the next 6 months, 1 year, stress, you're going to wear a badge called stress and walk around. Right? No, it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, you can actually go there and also ensure that you manage each one of that if you just know how to get there and manage it. I mean, are you with me? Yeah, I know lunch is over, but it's almost, I think Rajiv also finished. It's now the next slot. So let me quickly get on with it in terms of what in healthy way, what you can probably focus on health. What do you think are the 3 core areas of health? I'll narrow down and I'll go down to 3 areas where you can focus on your health. Come again, please. Yep. It's like, if you've probably seen the video cams running, it's got the tripods, right? It's standing on those things. If one of it loses its balance, what happens to the camera? It falls. Same thing goes with, with your health. It's very simple. See, I'm not going to complicate it. In fact, some of the biggest things are not complicated. It's very simple. But the problem is we are consciously not aware of, hey, this is important to me, and I need to kind of take a conscious decisions to be healthy. The reason is, when I work with people across India, right, Indians are probably the lowest in emotional quotient. Are you aware of this? How many of you are aware of this? Sorry, come again? Emotional intelligence is highest. Emotional quotient. Now, what is emotional quotient? It's basically how do you internalize things and manage yourself. You know what is the number one non-communicable disease in corporate life? Because each one of you are in the corporate. Come again? Depression. Yep, that's right. Depression is the number one. And when I was in the corporate, in the main thick of corporates, a cardiovascular disease was the number one. And suddenly in 3-4 years, what's happened? Suddenly depression has shot up. The reason is because somewhere down the line, people are not able to handle the emotions well. And that's got a direct link with how healthy you are and how you could internalize the whole thing and manage the show. You think that would probably give each one of you an edge when you're right there at the CIO level? You think that would make the difference between you as a CIO and other CIOs all over India, or even across the globe? Now, you don't have to be only pan-India. You can be CIO, global CIO also. You feel that would make a difference? What do you say, sir? You feel it's important? Okay. The thing is, now how do you get there? Simple. It's not complicated, because most of my seminars or my coaching is extremely simple. I focus on just being healthy. As the gentleman here said, the 3 most important things are your eating habits, your fitness, and your sleeping pattern. That's it. You just need to take care of these 3 simple things. I think all of us know this, right? But how many of us do this? All of us know that we need to be healthy, we need to work hard, and we need to just sleep on time. But how many of us look at the iPad or Blackberries or whatever just before going to sleep and skimp on the sleep pattern? Surprising, no one. I mean, no hands came up. Oh, very good. Don't worry, that's not getting recorded. So coming back here, now it's very simple. Now where I come across is, see, I'll get to the crux of the situation here, because we are running short of time already. The crux is basically your food habits and your sleep pattern and your general exercise. Now I'll come to the part of the exercise last. When it comes to the fact of food pattern, I see a lot of them begin their day without having breakfast. How many of you have fallen in the trap? They don't have the breakfast. They basically, what they do is they run the whole process. They rush to work, their drive time is more, or they're flying time zones. Somewhere they feel that, hey, you know what, not having breakfast is okay. That's the most important thing. The most important factor is, because what happens is, if you try to run the whole system empty, it catches up on you at some point of time. And usually what I've seen in my career as a coach, when you're hitting about 40, 45, that's when actually it catches up. And that's exactly where you guys will be going when you're at the top at CIO level or just above that. When you're knocking the doors of CIO, obviously you need to be healthy, right? And usually it's one area where I feel is most of them. I mean, I'm talking from experience, my own experience. In fact, at one time I was very much like most of you, and I was in the corporate, unhealthy lifestyle. I was doing all these things, but then I realized that something needs to get. I need to fix this fast. So what I did was I started focusing on my own health. And right now, probably if somebody has seen me before, I probably look a decade younger. And it's no rocket science. It's as simple. Why do you say it's difficult? Correct. If you're driving your car, if there's no fuel, what do you do? If you know it's already the empty thing is beeping red, what do you do? Surprising. Not many do that. Come on, when we park a car, we tell the attendant, hey, take care of that. We're so materialistically inclined towards things. But when it comes to our body, we tend to push it. We are running empty, we don't have sleep, and we tend to push it. Our body is extremely agile. It somewhere down the line, it adapts to the whole situation. So what happens here is, if you can follow the basics. Now, it's better to have ensure that you don't get there in that particular slot, rather than get to the slot and say, hey, you know what, I'm not able to handling, let me look at a life coach. So the idea here is, if you can get there to the top in your respective work and ensure that each one of you are absolutely emotionally and physically fit, I think that makes a big difference. And that happens probably with a few things. I'll just quickly touch upon it in terms of how you'll start off with basically eating habits and moving out of a lot of junk food. In fact, I know a couple of companies I go to, after the seminar I went again, it's disappeared, actually, the junk food. There's no donuts there, there's no chips there, there's a lot of things. In fact, it is there, but you know what, it's kept at the farther side of the cafeteria, where people have to walk a little, so they don't end up going there. So there are a lot more fruits and a lot more natural things there kept, so at the disposal you can just pick it up. Because what happens is, we tend to communicate a lot with the subconscious mind through images. True, yeah, but that's another 1 hour session, so if I need to answer that. So I agree what you said. Now what I'm trying here is, that's a good point. Probably we will take some takeaways, and if you probably